welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Matt. Today we're continuing with our story. So we've got the reunion part 2.
That's right, and we were talking about reunion and then meeting people after a very long time not seeing them, right? And I have a story to share.
Okay.
The other day I was walking on the street and then someone called me, he's like, Karen! And then I turned around and I was like, hello? Because I couldn't recognize him. And then he said, oh, we went to high school together.
Oh.
And then he started talking about, his name and then which class we had together. And I was like, oh my goodness, I remember you. But you know what? He looks so different now. Back in high school, he was really, really cute. I actually had a crush on him.
Really?
But now he kind of looks like, like a middle-aged man.
Middle-aged, but shouldn't he be around?
Hey, what are you talking about? No, but anyways, he just looks so different from before.
Oh.
I guess people really do change.
Yeah, you know what, that's interesting because last time I was back in Canada, I ran into someone I went to high school with.
Really?
Yeah, so it was a girl who, when she was in high school, she was, a little nerdy. She liked to study a lot and read books in the break times. And I saw her now, and now she's beautiful and confident and tall and skinny, and she wouldn't even talk to me.
Really? Did you try to talk to her?
I tried. When I was like, hey, we went to high school together. And she just...
Really? So I guess people really can change a lot after a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
I hope I didn't change that much. Did you change a lot?
No, I think I'm the same.
You look the same.
I look the same.
And you act the same.
Yeah, act the same, look the same.
Okay, well, let's go into today's story, Reunion Part 2.
My father took me to a restaurant. The waiter was slow, so my father was rude to him. The waiter didn't like that and wouldn't serve us.
We're looking at part 2 of our story called Reunion, right? And last time we know that the son was having a reunion with his father, and it wasn't a very, very long time, right?
No.
Okay.
Just 90 minutes for this visit, and we're going to see, I guess, what they do now that they have had their reunion, and we're going to see what they do together.
Yeah, exactly, because I do remember that they have a very close relationship, right? Okay, well, let's read on.
My father took me to a restaurant. The waiter was slow, so my father was rude to him.
So my father took me to the restaurant. What's a restaurant?
A restaurant is a place where you go to buy food and eat it there. So any kind of restaurant where you sit down at a table, you order food, they bring the food to you, and you eat it in the restaurant.
And I love dining out. I love going to restaurants, and you can have different types of food. But then they said that the waiter was slow. Waiter is a noun. Waiter is someone who works in the restaurant, and then they will bring you food and drinks, and then they will provide service to you in the restaurant. I know that in North America, usually waiters will get a big tip if they're very nice to the customers, and so when you're about to pay, you can decide, okay, well, I think this waiter is very polite, very nice. He has really good service. So you can decide to give him a big tip, right?
Big tip meaning extra money that you give to them for their service.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't like to give, I'm very cheap, but I don't like to give a big tip.
We don't have that culture in Taiwan though, right?
Yeah, so I like that we don't have that in Taiwan. So I don't have to think about, how good was that waiter? Should they get $5, $10? That's Canadian dollars.
That's
$5, $10. I have to judge how good they were after I eat.
But isn't it nicer to go to restaurants when the waiters can provide great service though?
It's, I think I'd rather, I don't
You'd
want to
rather
talk
keep
to
your
them.
money.
I don't want to talk to them too much. I just want the good food. So I'd rather keep my money. And so maybe if I'm giving a small tip in Canada, people would say I'm being a bit rude.
Oh.
So rude is an adjective that means not polite. So there are things that we do that are maybe rude. So it said he was rude to the waiter, which maybe means he was shouting at him or just talking very directly, not saying I would like, just saying I want this, I want that, something rude. There's a lot of other rude things that people do. For example, spitting on the street is very rude.
That's right.
Staring at people, if you just
Like
keep,
staring at strangers
Yes.
or people
Or
you
there.
don't know, or even ignoring people. When people talk to you and then you don't want to listen, you don't want to answer, you kind of pretend you don't hear them. It's like, that's also very, very rude. And we don't really like to be around people that are very rude,
And
right?
the opposite of rude would be polite.
That's
so if you're
right.
very nice with your manners, as we say, you're a very polite person, you're not rude at all.
Yeah, you're always saying, thank you, please, excuse me. And it's very important to be polite.
Yes.
Okay, so the father was very, very rude to the waiter because the waiter was slow. Okay, let's see what happens next. The waiter didn't like that and wouldn't serve us. So, of course, when someone is being rude to you, you wouldn't like it, right? And the waiter wouldn't serve us. So, serve is a verb. So, when you're talking about a waiter working in a restaurant, serving somebody, that means to provide service, to give them maybe food or drinks or any help they need in the restaurant. Maybe they want some napkins or maybe they want some utensils. And then the waiter would just ignore that, say, sorry, I do not want to help you. I do not want to serve you, right?
Yeah, so if the waiter won't serve them, then they can't eat in that restaurant.
Exactly. Okay, well, I don't really know where this is going. I guess we'll have to find out after the break.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll find out and see you after the break.
See you after the break.
We went to another restaurant. The waiter wouldn't serve us because my father shouted at him. At the next place, my father ordered the waiter around. The waiter wouldn't listen, so we left. Then we entered an Italian restaurant. My father spoke Italian to the waiter, but he didn't understand. When my father wouldn't stop, the manager made us leave.
Welcome back, everyone. So we are back after the break now, right? And then the son is having the reunion with the father. They were at a restaurant, but then the waiter was too slow, so the father was being really rude, right? So the waiter didn't want to help them in any way. The waiter didn't want to serve them. So what's going to happen next?
Guess we'll find out. So
All right.
our story continues. We went to another restaurant. The waiter wouldn't serve us because my father shouted at him. Ooh.
Wow.
So that's two restaurants now where the waiter won't serve them because the father's being rude. So in this case, it said he shouted at them. So to shout is to speak in a very loud voice. So I don't know if I can shout right here, but to shout is to speak very loudly. And in this case, to shout at someone is usually to go, you know, I don't know what he would have said to this waiter, but bring my food.
And that probably wouldn't sound too nice, right? When you're shouting at somebody.
Very rude to, yeah, it's usually rude to shout at someone.
Exactly, and we don't really want customers like that. If we had a customer in a restaurant like that, people don't really want a welcome customer or people like that.
No, so it's sort of like he's like sometimes a parent, like a mother might shout at her child when they're being naughty. So for a man to do that to someone else in a restaurant, it's very rude, not polite.
Exactly. Have you ever shouted at anyone? I mean, you look like really nice and kind.
I
You
don't.
have a good temper.
I have a pretty good temper. I don't shout often, but sometimes when I'm teaching and the students are being naughty, sometimes I have to shout just to to let them know that I'm in charge, that I'm the...
You have to set your boundaries, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's continue. So the father was shouting, right? At the next place, my father ordered the waiter around. The waiter wouldn't listen, so we left. So the father was ordering the waiter around. When you say someone orders someone around, that means you're telling them what to do. And usually in a really bossy way. Like you're the boss, you tell them what to do, and they have to listen to you. So, you know, if somebody orders you around, how would you feel, Matt?
I think it depends who the person is ordering me around. So sometimes if you're at work and your boss is ordering you around, it's part of the job.
True, that you would just take it, right? It's like, okay, that's okay, I will do it.
Yeah, but if it's someone you feel doesn't have that power to order you around, then you might feel angry. You feel like that's something you don't want to do.
Exactly, and sometimes we have some friends that are like that too, who likes to tell people what to do, and they say, hey, you have to do that, hey, you have to do that. But if they don't ask in a nice way, usually people wouldn't want to listen, right? Okay, and let's continue.
Then we entered an Italian restaurant. My father spoke Italian to the waiter, but he didn't understand. So they entered, meaning they went into an Italian restaurant. So I guess they have Italian foods like maybe pizza and pasta and things like that. And then the father spoke in Italian. So the father speaks Italian here.
That's right.
But I guess the waiter does not.
Exactly. Just because you go and dine in an Italian restaurant, it doesn't mean all the waiters in the restaurant should speak Italian, right?
When you go to a Chinese or Taiwanese restaurant in Canada, do you walk in and speak in Mandarin?
Well, sometimes, but most of the time they can't speak Mandarin. But you can't expect everyone to do that though, because you know you have to just try. If they speak English, I would speak English to them. Okay, so the waiter didn't speak Italian, so the waiter didn't understand. And then it says, when my father wouldn't stop, the manager made us leave. So after the father finds out that the waiter couldn't understand him, but he just kept on speaking Italian and he wouldn't stop, right? So he was kind of making trouble and kind of, you know, making a scene. So the manager made us leave. So we have this vocabulary word here, manager, and that is a noun. A manager is a position in a company or a restaurant or a store who is basically in charge of everything, like in the store or in the restaurants. So he would have to lead the other workers or employees. If they have some problems, they can go and report to the manager, and the manager would help them in any way he can.
Yeah, so he helped his staff here by making this man leave. So
exactly.
Now that so many restaurants they've been to and they still haven't been able to eat because of the father's bad behavior.
Exactly.
So it's not looking good for this to be a happy reunion, but we'll see how it goes in the third part.
Okay, well, I can't wait. But I'm pretty sure they're really, really hungry by now.
I think so.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
My father took me to a restaurant. The waiter was slow, so my father was rude to him. The waiter didn't like that and wouldn't serve us. We went to another restaurant. The waiter wouldn't serve us because my father shouted at him. At the next place, my father ordered the waiter around. The waiter wouldn't listen, so we left. Then we entered an Italian restaurant. My father spoke Italian to the waiter, but he didn't understand. When my father wouldn't stop, the manager made us leave.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 waiter 名词，服务生。The waiter forgot to give us the menu. 那位服务生忘记给我们菜单了。下一个单字 rude 形容词，无理的，鲁莽的。We don't like Jack because he is rude to everyone. 我们不喜欢 Jack， 因为他对所有人都很无理。下一个单字 serve 动词，上菜，供餐。 There was only one waiter serving customers. 只有一个服务生在服务客人。最后一个单字 manager 名词经理。I would like to speak to your manager. 我想找你的经理谈一谈。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 A shouts at B. A 对 B 大吼。Shout 是动词，吼叫、大喊。它的后面要用 at 才可以接受词哦。我们来看看这个句子。The police officer shouted at the thief to stop.
Stop, police!
下一个文法 A orders B around. A 不断地指使 B. Order 在这里表示指使、使唤。我们来看看这个例句。Monica likes to order people around. We don't like her. Monica 喜欢对别人颐指气使，我们不喜欢她。最后一个文法 My father spoke Italian to the waiter. 我父亲对服务生说意大利语。说某一种语言的动词我们要用 speak。Italian 在这里可以当成名词意大利语，或者是形容词意大利语或意大利人的。我们来看看这个例句。Some parents speak English to their children at home. 有些父母在家会对孩子说英文。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见喽，拜拜。
Hey everyone, I'm Jamie.
I'm Josh.
And today we're playing a game called Word Drop, I almost forgot, a word drop, where we each have 3 cards with words or phrases on them, and we're going to try to work them into a casual conversation because we haven't seen these words or phrases before. So, are you ready, Josh?
I am ready.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and start?
Done deal. So the other day I was in the supermarket, right? And I was trying to find some really good chicken because I had a barbecue coming up. And sometimes it's just so tricky to find the right kind of meat that you really want to get. But thankfully, there was someone handing out samples and they were there to serve the customers.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I like going to supermarkets. I like getting samples and just like looking at all the different produce and things that they have. The only bad thing though is that sometimes there's too many people, and usually people try to be nice, but sometimes you'll get people who like maybe are too pushy or they like jostle about, and I don't really like rude people.
I don't like rude people either. I really love polite people. In fact, I make it one of my life's work is to make sure that I'm only surrounded by polite people. I have no time for rudeness in my daily routine or schedule. In fact, it really upsets me, especially when I go to a restaurant and I'm trying to just get some good crab at this restaurant. And I just can't seem to get the attention because the person's so rude. I can't get the attention of the waiter.
Oh no, that's awful. Yeah, I think most of my restaurant/store, whatever experiences have been positive, but yeah, sometimes when you see when you encounter like a rude people, right? Or if you can't get the server, yeah, I think you need to call the manager.
That would be totally a good idea, but I don't really like being a Karen too much, which seems to be a social phenomenon that's going on. This whole thing of being a Karen, yeah, you don't want to make someone's life too hard. It's really bad when someone's rude, and you really need to have people that are polite around you, which is why whenever I'm at the restaurant, I like to get cheese ordered for sandwiches. I've never heard of A orders B around. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so yeah, I think I can see that. So I feel like though when I want to talk to the manager, I don't do it often, but when I try to do it, I try to be nice because I don't like it when people, like customers, shout at the manager. That's not nice.
No, that's really horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, mine's A shouts at B.
See you next time.